is complicated. New town, new job, depression, social anxiety, low self-esteem, no friends. Sometimes it's none of those things, and sometimes it's all of them. Sometimes it's brief, sometimes it's more long-lasting, sometimes it makes sense why, and sometimes it doesn't make any sense at all. There might be a simple solution for some, while for others, there is not. So you can see why it's complicated. Just like with most things, there is no single common cause or cure, nor is there a clear definition, because how could we possibly define any element of something that is so abstract? If we look at the term loneliness online, the first thing that pops up is sadness because one has no friends or company. And I wouldn't say that's entirely true. It wasn't in my case, at least. For me, it was actually around the time when I was surrounded by people almost constantly. Waking up, breakfast, lunch, going out, going to bed. Very rarely was I not accompanied by others. Although I did, of course, try to find my alone moments because introvert survival instinct. Yet I felt really lonely. And it's not an easy thing to describe. I can barely even describe it to myself, but it was kind of like feeling trapped inside my own thoughts and feelings, and that bubble almost became my comfort zone. Like you almost accept that this state of mind is your home now. And at that time, I couldn't really understand why I was feeling that way. You know how you sometimes can't seem to think clearly when you're in a certain situation, but then once you're out of that situation and you look back, it all becomes crystal clear. It's like ending a relationship and then looking back like, what the hell was I thinking? And all of a sudden, it all just makes sense. You feel like the answers were right in front of you all along, but you just couldn't see them because you were blinded by love or whatever. And I think loneliness can kind of blind you the same way. It makes us see life through a lens that might not always reflect reality. So now that I have been out of that situation for a long time, I see how that played out in my life back then, and I can see the things that had blinded me. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the details, but essentially, I realized that I wasn't fully living a life that aligned with my authentic self. And now, that might sound cliche and cheesy, but bear with me. So let's say you're at university studying to become an engineer. You're going to be surrounding yourself with other people who are doing the same thing. But if that's not really what you want to be doing, chances are you are going to feel a disconnect with your surroundings and perhaps even with yourself. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with those people or with you. It's just that just because something is someone else's world, it doesn't mean it has to be yours. And sometimes you realize those things after you've already invested yourself in them. And sometimes we talk ourselves into thinking that we should be wanting this thing because, I don't know, others want it, or because it would be wrong not to want it. Like, we should be grateful. And other times, the thing that we're doing used to be exactly what we wanted, but we're human beings. We grow, we learn, we change, and that's just life. No matter how much you try to calculate the risks and foresee the future to somehow try to make sure that you're making the right decisions in life, you're not a weather app, and even those things get it wrong. Like, it's been saying it's going to be sunny for a week, but where's the sun, Stockholm? Now, the period of loneliness eventually passed for me, and this is footage of me from some time later when my life wasn't nearly as eventful and when I had way less people around me. More like 3, including family. Now, before I share my thoughts on what I think happened between then and now and what I learned, I do want to make it clear that I don't have all of this figured out. I am no therapist or psychologist. I'm not qualified to give any professional advice other than the time that I spend researching for these videos. I'm just someone sharing their story in the hopes of someone finding something valuable in it. And even if you don't, maybe you like the music or the visuals or something. Anyway, here's what I learned.